Hey everyone! If you haven't watched my videos before, I'm Steph. At the moment, I'm just starting a small channel where I am pretty much just making it very casual, conversational. I'm not very good at editing videos yet. I do really plan to try and up my skills, but for now, I'm not actively telling anyone about my channel. So today I wanted to film my updated testimony. If you don't know what a testimony in the Christian sense is, it is basically the story of how I became a Christian and why I am a Christian. And why I say updated is because I have spoken about it a lot on my Instagram. There are a couple ETV videos that I have about it, telling my story on there. And I just wanted to do an updated version. I don't have any notes or anything, and this is all going to be word vomit, where I tell you about my journey as someone of the faith. I have grown up in a family that has always gone to church. I've been to the same church my entire life. I always really wanted to have fun. I was always someone who really enjoyed just like spending my time however I wanted. I loved boys, being a girly girl, looking at myself in the mirror, taking selfies, having friends. And that's how I defined myself, especially in my tween years. I remember even specifically at 8 years old being in Sunday school and being like, I do believe everything in the Bible, but how am I expected to like actually be a Christian? Like, why are there so many rules limiting my fun? Like, God, why are you making us like follow all of these random things? I don't have like freedom. What are you doing? I've never doubted the history of the Bible, and I've never thought to myself, oh, this can't have happened. I've always thought like, yes, there must be some higher power. I do understand the creation story, and I understand how the world comes about, and when we die, we go to heaven or hell. And I've never thought anything else about that logical sense. I just thought about, how does this impact my life? Like, why do I have to follow such strict rules? When I was 9 years old, my school went on an excursion to learn about different religions. I did go to a Christian school, but we were taught about different religions. So I remember visiting, like, I think it was a mosque, and being like, oh my gosh, like there's actually other gods out there. So how do we know that the Christian God where I learned about him in Sunday school, how do I know that that's actually legit? But I didn't think much about it. I mean, I was only 9 at the time. I'm not going to go on some kind of huge like historical like exploration, have a midlife crisis about my religion. And when I was 10 years old, I had a very close friend who's actually still one of my closest friends today. And her family at the time, and a little bit still now, was very much into things like yoga, pendants, what you would call these days spirituality. And we would even like think that there were like fairies in her garden, like mystical folklore fairies, like ghosts and everything. There's a part of me that was like, oh, I feel like this is kind of against my like family's Christianity, but like whatever. Like, I was close friends with her and I was always over at her house and stuff like that. So I was also introduced to spirituality at a very young age. And when I was 11 years old, I decided that I really wanted to be an actress. So, as most parents probably think, thought that this was just like a little phase in my life, a little hobby, but I really wanted to be an actress. I was like always looking at child agencies to join and like talent agencies and looking into acting classes. And I did do acting classes actually. I auditioned for a TV show. I thought like, I really want to do this. By the time that I was 12 years old, I'd kind of transitioned into obsessing over the way that I looked. So it became a lot more about like, oh, if I'm an actress, I need to be pretty, but like, I'm not pretty. Why is everyone else pretty? And I literally thought that everyone was just so much more gorgeous than me. And I would just be very insecure about that. Like, I literally remember waiting outside a class in, I think, my final year of primary school and looking around at my classmates and being like, wow, there's not one ugly person here. And I really thought that everyone was just a lot more attractive than me. Going into high school, I had pretty much been like, okay, let's not be an actress anymore. Like, there's other aspirations and other careers I can tend to. But the superficiality that I had garnered from that stage of my life had turned into wanting to be very much a social butterfly. And being really like, oh, I have to be friends with everyone. Like, it doesn't matter who, I don't care if they're cool, uncool, popular or unpopular. I just want to be loved and friendly and open and social to everyone. And so I was extremely extroverted, and I still am, but even back then I was known for being just the really loud person, very in your face. And I think a lot of people apparently even now are still intimidated by that. I just really want to have those connections, and a lot of the time it wasn't about, oh, I actually want to help you as a friend or see you as a close friend or whatever. It was just like, I want to socialize with people. So I really wanted to be friends with everyone. And at first I tried to do that through having a lot of like online friends or people in the area from other schools. Be with that it crowd. A lot of things like switching friendship groups at the beginning of high school, as most people do, I think. When I was 14, I went into more of the realm of like schools where I had people who were like brought up in kind of like the same style and the same culture as me. And I kind of built up a name for myself because I just wanted to be known. Through that, I met a lot of boys and like the first kind of guy friends that I had really had in my life. And I got really distracted and really invested in having an unofficial relationship with a guy. I saw him twice a week, mostly had an online relationship. I can't even remember half of the things that happened during that time, but it really broke me when we eventually ended through an argument. A taste of heartbreak. It wasn't like it was a real relationship or anything, but it really like hurt me at the time. What is my life? Like, I've looked at life like, oh, you're sociable, you're academic, you're popular, you're a family person, you're super nice. I labeled people and I really thought that I was just meant to be the social one. Like, this is my calling. Like, I am the social person. After this like heartbreak with this guy, I was like, why do I put so much effort into things like friendships and going to parties or like, yeah, just being social in general? Like, what is that all for? I actually, because I use social media so much, on Facebook, I saw this girl's profile who I have a lot of mutuals with. And she was like kind of in the same boat as me. So she's a couple years older than me, but she had also just broken up with her unofficial boyfriend. And their relationship was slightly more public than mine. A lot of people knew about it and knew that they weren't really together, but they were like together. And so it was noticeable when they broke up. I just kept seeing her pop up on my feed. Sometimes I would even just search up her profile to see how she was going, even though I didn't know her. And I'd just be like, whoa, like this girl is changing. She seems different. There's something about her. And I just noticed that she seemed to be like less active on social media. When she was active, it was almost like she had this like calming presence through my screen. And I was like, what's different about her? And after like digging a little bit deeper, I realized that she had started to take her faith in God seriously. And all of her like Instagram posts were like about God and about like how much he had changed her, or like she didn't even need to talk about it through words, but I could just tell from her photos. Like, I've always been a social media person, so I can kind of like gauge things from people's profiles. It's just like a weird skill that I have. So I could tell like she had definitely been transformed. Whoa, like if she can do it, so can I. And I kind of, because I used to be very much a role model person, I would really latch onto someone I saw as an example for me to follow. And I saw her as a role model and I was like, whoa, like I think her solution to all of this is so good, like actually trusting in God. And I was like, why don't I try this as well? Obviously it wasn't like, oh, I want to be like her, so therefore I'm going to just believe in God for no reason, just because I'm following this random girl. It wasn't like that. It did happen a lot gradually for me. That was kind of like the tipping point for me, I think. But something I always forget to mention is that I did go to an event in Sydney called Rice Rally. And that was when I was 13 years old, and it was there that I committed to Christ. I was calling myself a Christian up until this point of seeing that the girl online take God seriously. So at that time I was 15. So it was 2 years later that I started to take God seriously, which is why I always forget about that part from when I was 13. So I just thought like I need to step up my game, like be more mature, stop thinking about like boys and popularity and stuff, and just like focus on God. And that's what I did, and that's what I've been doing ever since half a dozen years later. I just wanted to like do a little bit of an update on my testimony. I'll see how my faith has gone since then. It's been very, very up and down. I've started to get back into a routine of doing my devotionals every day. Life has been really hard for me since leaving school. I realized that I had a really good time. Something like the unofficial relationship breakup was one of the hardest things I had experienced before adulthood, and that's not even a real relationship. So you can see how much of a blessing my school life was. When I left school, I just went through real hardship for the first time in my life, and it has been really tough. It's not that like my mental health has completely declined. I'm not like fully depressed or anxious, like, and a lot of people have it a lot worse than me, especially with the pandemic and everything. I'm still like really grateful for everything that I have, and I have it so much better than a lot of people. In comparison to school, my life has been a lot harder than I anticipated. Before going into uni, I was like, uni's for parties. How wrong was I? It's been a lot of self-reflection and growth for me. I've matured a lot as a person. In school, no one would have said that I was like a reflective person. No one would have said that I really like thought deeply about things. Like, I just never did. Like, I was always just like, let's do this because I feel like it. Made it easy to be a Christian. It was very, very easy to follow God. I went to a Christian school. I was part of a family who went to church. I had Christian friends at school, Christian support at school. Even if people were atheists, they weren't going to say anything directly like to my face to attack me. A happy update that I do have is that the girl who I saw as a role model, who helped me take God seriously, I am real life friends with her now, which is so incredible to say, because in so many testimonies that I have posted, I've been like, I want to meet her one day, but I don't actually know her. But now I know her, and we met up last year for dinner and dessert. We also recently saw each other last week because I had a worship sleepover with some friends and she was invited. I reached out to her through Instagram. I'm so glad I did that. Even though social media was one of the things that ruined me and made me question my life choices, it made me come to Christ, and it goes full circle because I met that girl through social media. So I'm so grateful for a bunch of things in my life. As you can see, I'm still in this season of, I guess, adulting turmoil, and until I'm fully out of a season in my life, I can't exactly say fully what I've learned and how I can grow from it and what I'm doing now. So I can't give you a clear update of like what has happened to me 3 years now since leaving school, but I will say that it has been a wild ride and it's been a struggle. And you really have to know whether like trusting God is worth it, and it totally is. I don't think I would be here if it weren't for God. I don't know how my life will have turned out if I wasn't a Christian. I really don't. I honestly don't know what the point of life would be if I didn't have my faith. Yeah, life gets like really confusing. It is confusing. Struggled with particular sins in my life. Whereas before it was like, oh, you know, I struggle with like impatience, or I don't always trust God, or sometimes I value like studies over God. Typical high school problems, whereas in adulthood it's like I've been hit with sin after sin, and it's like, whoa, I actually really need God. Like, this doesn't align with Christian morals at all. What am I doing? I feel like I'm still in the middle of things right now, but I did want to film a video today, and I did want to be like fully honest. And I think I'll look back on this video and be like, whoa, I really was lost during this time. Because in a lot of ways I do feel lost, even though I have been defined by God and I know that I'm a child of God. Like, I have that full confidence for life. But in this stage of my life, in my early years of adulthood, I'm still trying to figure myself out. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you don't have your own personality that comes with that you have to still develop. So that's what I'm trying to get through in this point in my life. Sorry that this wasn't a full-on like, this is exactly what's happened since the last time I said my testimony. But I did want to, yeah, just like be open and honest with the one subscriber I have, with whoever's watching this really, just to share my faith. And I hope that you guys all have a great week. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope it inspires you in some way, because I do really like listening to other people's testimonies, and I think like the beauty of the Bible is that it changes lives, and it does really give meaning to your life. Like, God is there to show how holy He is, and to make you holy, and to make your life meaningful and valuable. My life would be very, very different and sucky different without Him. So just wanted to show that to you guys. And even though it might seem like I am in the middle of like a few crises right now, some quarter life crises, it's still immeasurably better than my life would be without God.